Yeah, I can't speak to, what's being said on the other sideline or what's going on. Um, I think if anything, we're hoping our guys are playing hard and they're playing together, but I don't know exactly what other coaches are saying or doing. We're focused on what we can control and what we can do. And so I think it's just an odd set of circumstances, honestly, and I don't really have any more explanation or thought to it than that.
You've maintained your cool for the most part. You've maintained your cool for 2+ years since you've been here. How do you do that? Is there some points in time where you just want to erupt and then all of a sudden something kicks in?
We've got a lot of confidence in the process and the work that we do every single day. We talk to our guys a lot about maintaining composure, staying in the moment, and keeping focus on what's in front of them. And I think it's important that the things that I outline as important factors in us being successful, that when they look at me, that I'm living those the same way. I think it's like anything in leadership. It's you want your actions to speak so loudly that no one hears your words. And so I try to do the best I can at taking that advice and following what we're sharing with our guys and try to live it the best I can. But, we all have our moments.
What has been the issue late in games when you guys have had a double-digit lead that's shrunk? What, is it as much the other team is trying to, or is there something?
Yeah, no, look, I think what happens, in some of these situations, we build a lead, especially when you're on the road, right? The other team has the crowd behind them, just like we're fortunate to have when we're playing at home. And what seems to happen is that they just drive the basketball. There's really no fear of consequence at that point, at a point in the game where you're down by, a certain amount. You just say, let's just drive it at them and get it up on the board and try to tip it in. And so it becomes, especially when you're on someone else's court, you've got to do a great job keeping the basketball in front. You got to do a great job blocking out. So I think we've seen that, a couple times. And I'd say, we've got to do a better job of making sure that our defensive intent and focus is the same regardless of what the score, regardless of what's happening, because there certainly can be a part of young people where they look at the scoreboard and feel like, they can be comfortable, but that there's a little more room there. And so I think it goes both ways. I think the other team says, we got nothing to lose, just lower our shoulder, drive it, get on the glass. And I think we've got to do a better job of being intentional at guarding the basketball, keeping it out of the paint, keeping them off the boards.
So for you, it's just a consistency of the guys on the floor rather than schematically something you guys have to adjust to, or personnel-wise you have to adjust to in that situation?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, certainly, the other night, one thing we have to adjust to is Dylan Dissu hits a bunch of threes, and he's popping on the perimeter, right? So then we go smaller, we switch some things, we put Trey King at the 5. So there's times in a game where what's going on in that game does require a schematic adjustment, and we've got to be mindful of that, and we will. But I also think there's the people part of it of you get up, if you're fortunate to be up by a certain margin, and to keep that same level of focus of what put you in that position and not allow yourself to get stagnant. And I think that's happened to us a few times.
You guys are playing TCU. It's your first of a double time playing a team, but you didn't have Taman the first time. How much does your preparation maybe alter or change playing a team a second time when one of your main contributors is now available?
Yeah, I think, for us, our preparation, we have so much respect for the teams we play and the coaches and the programs, and we know we're in the best league in the country and we're playing against the best. And so I think we are very intentional with our preparation. At the same time, we have tremendous confidence in what we do every single day. So it doesn't mean we don't adapt and adjust to opponents. It just means that our core values, the things that we want to do in terms of pressure in the basketball and being physical and keeping the ball in front of us, blocking out on the offensive boards. I mean, our preparation is far more about doing the effort-based things to the best of our ability than to change systematically things that we're doing on either end. So whether Taman, with Taman not playing last time and then with him, playing, tomorrow, that doesn't change a whole lot. Whether he's guarding the ball, Keyshawn's guarding the ball, we want to pressure the basketball. And I think both those guys do a great job of it. Certainly Keyshawn did a terrific job setting the tone last time, and hopefully collectively we do that job this time.
Defensively, I think you had about 27 forced turnovers against TCU the last time. That's got to be hard to replicate, but how do you go about trying to continue to have success on that in that area of the game?
Yeah, we know. I mean, they've had a week off, so a lot of respect for Coach Dixon and their team and how they'll prepare. They have a very good team, and I think it was a bit of an outlier game, and in terms for them, and then even for us. I mean, we take pride in turning people over, but that's been probably our best game, certainly in league play, at doing so. So we've got to be prepared that they're going to have a bunch of different ways to try to space us out, attack us, do things to skip the basketball, keep it moving in transition. There's a lot of things that I'm sure they'll adjust and do at a higher level than what they did last game. And we've got to be ready to just continue to bring our defensive pressure and intensity, knowing they're going to make some adjustments.
TJ, what did you learn about your team having to go without Taman? I mean, you probably have a good idea what expanded roles for Keyshawn and Kurt in particular are going to mean, but the way they responded, the way the team responded, you can't be 100% sure. And just what did they show you, and how did that help your team going forward?
Well, we were fortunate that, I felt like guys stepped up. There was in practice, there was, Taman gets these loose balls, or Taman guards this way, or Taman gets this rebound, or makes this play, or this shot. And so guys wanted to step up and do that. So that's a credit to all those guys. I mean, I think Demarion had his best game. Kurt Jones certainly stepped up in a major way. Omaha came in and gave some key contributions. So many stepped up in his absence. So I think it's a credit to, the young men in our program. They care about one another. They have each other's back, and they know that when one of our best isn't to be out there, it's going to take everybody's best. And we certainly saw signs of that. So I think it's a positive, because there's going to be times in games, whether it's fouls, tired, hurt, injured, sick, things happen. And so whether it's Taman or someone else, as valuable as each young man is to our program, we've got to be prepared to say that adversity's coming. There's going to be adversity in the game, over time, possessions, it comes. And so you've got to be prepared as a team to be able to move forward, even though one of your best may not be out there for one reason or another.
And we talk a lot about how hard it is to win on the road, win in the Big 12, but win on the road in particular. But how about now you're facing the prospect of potentially sweeping a team? How hard is that, given how good the coaches are, how good the teams are, to adjust? And, like Alex said, they had 27 turnovers. And, they're going to, overhaul some things.
Yeah, no, and again, I mean, Coach Dixon's going to be a Hall of Fame coach. I mean, he's coached at a very high level for a long time and been successful. They've got great players. They've got experience. Got one of the older teams in league play, one of the more physical teams. So we know they're going to be at their best tomorrow, and that it is the challenge. And for us, we look at that second half of the game and say, it's kind of like what we keep talking about. They drove the basketball at us, and they got on the glass, and they had success doing so. And so we know that they're going to try to replicate that same plan from the start, and we've got to do a great job of imposing our will. But it's a hard challenge. I mean, in this conference, every game is difficult. Every challenge is difficult, and certainly to be in position to have won at TCU and now know they're coming back here, that's another challenging dynamic. So we'll do our best to be prepared and be ready to take on that and meet that challenge.
What do you look for when you put in Pav and Demarion, two guys that they might play 5 minutes a game, they may play 10 minutes or whatever it was against Texas? What do you kind of look for to keep them in the game? Pav scores 6 points and Demarion has that energizing dunk. What do you just kind of look for when you put them in?
No, I think with Pav, he's somebody that offensively can help us space the floor better. He gives us another ball handler that can attack the paint, somebody that can be an aggressive offensive player and help space people out, certainly when they pressure. Was really pleased with what he did, exactly what we had talked about going into the game, and he did an awesome job stepping up. With Demarion, He brings tremendous value defensively with his length. He's a great cutter offensively, and he really impacts things on the glass for us. So really more than, anything in particular, they just need to be who they are. They need to play to their strengths. They need to, they don't need to look at it like they have to do a cartwheel and a backflip. Just come in and be who you are, play to the best of your ability. We're putting you in there to play to your strengths and do what you do well, and we'll put our trust in them, and we'll just evaluate what happens from game to game, because there's a lot of adapting, especially this time of the year. Everybody's very familiar with each other, so you just got to be ready for a lot of situational things and be prepared for what that calls for, and those guys need to be ready for hearing their name called.